on this Friday, major movement in the Middle East. And this just now from the president's Truth Social. Iran has agreed to never close the Strait of Hormuz again. It will no longer be used as a weapon against the world. President Donald J. Trump. The president says Hormuz is fully open, except for Iran. The U.S. blockade of Iranian ports will stay in place until that radical Islamic regime agrees to a deal. And the president's optimism in the last few minutes lifting U.S. trading markets and the world with signs that a deal could come very soon. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Here is President Trump.
Well, I have a little deal. I can make a little deal. I want to get it done. They've agreed to almost everything. So maybe if they can get to the table, there's a difference. They agree. They're going to get to the table with a pen. We'll have that over with.
President Trump crediting the U.S. blockade for putting an economic stranglehold on Iran, saying he believes he can get a final agreement without extending the ceasefire, which expires Monday. Central Command released these brand new images of the blockade in action. U.S. warships patrolling the Gulf of Oman, in addition to the Strait of Hormuz, and warning commercial traffic away from Iranian ports. You must get back. CENTCOM says 19 ships have now complied and 0 have slipped through. And this part is fascinating. We can actually hear the audio of our mighty Navy communicating with those ships.
Blue Sky 4, this is U.S. Navy Warship 115. Request you return to original port of call in Iran. How copy? Over.
Copy, sir. Thank you very much. Copy, sir. Me alter to Iran. Thank you.
President Trump also has announced a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. He says Lebanon will, quote unquote, take care of Hezbollah. And of course, that's the terror proxy army Iran pays, based in Lebanon. Trump adds both leaders may visit the White House within days. Lieutenant Colonel Keith Kellogg is coming up in focus with me. Let's begin with senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy. Peter.
Harris, President Trump is saying the United States will not give Iran $20 billion for them to fork over leftover uranium, despite an Axios report this morning suggesting that that is one of the United States' offers to Iran that they might make at peace talks in Pakistan. The president said the USA will get all nuclear dust created by our great B-2 bombers. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. And he's talking about this in battleground Nevada.
I will say the war in Iran is going along swimmingly. We can do whatever we want. And it should be ending pretty soon. It was perfect.
Not perfect. The friendship with NATO. The president writes, now that the Hormuz Strait situation is over, I received a call from NATO asking if we would need some help. I told them to stay away unless they just want to load up their ships with oil. They were useless when needed, a paper tiger. Within the next 3 or 4 days, the president says we should expect to see Israel and Lebanon together at the White House for the first time in nearly half a century. But the ceasefire has some skeptics within Israel who watched a similar deal fall apart 2 years ago.
We have to be cautious about what we are doing, what we are signing, but hopefully we want to see Lebanon independent and Hezbollah and Iran out of Lebanon.
The Israelis may be skeptical right now, but a day in, the Iranians seem thrilled by this Israel-Lebanon ceasefire. That is the reason that they opened up the Strait of Hormuz, and that is the reason oil is down and the Dow is up. Harris.
You know what? I'm going to start there because that's where you left off. Peter, thank you so very much. In focus now, Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, a former special envoy to Ukraine and Russia, and AFPI American Security Co-Chair. Great to see you. I don't normally talk money with generals, but I have to say the U.S. blockade is lifting the markets today, and everybody at home can see the Dow. It's up more than 1,000 points right now. We're inching back into that record territory that we had been in. And then crude oil, if my team will switch that. This is the part, General, that I want to talk to you about, because the price is down for crude right now by 10%. It was hovering around $88 million a barrel, and $88 a barrel. And that is unbelievable because of where we've been. Why did this work so well and not a bullet fired?
Yeah, it's good to be with you today. Thank you very much for having me. I think the reason is because the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, was resolute, and our great military is out there enforcing a blockade. And you see the two benchmarks, the WTI, West Texas Intermediate, and Brent, both falling, and the markets are rising because of that. And the President's right about this. If we get what he calls the nuclear dust, that's the enriched uranium. And we need to get that out from him. But remember what Reagan said, he did trust but verify. And we need to go in there, we need to get that out of there. I don't trust those guys. I don't trust the Iranians at all. The two leaders that they have in negotiations are both Revolutionary Guards. The Revolutionary Guards Corps is separate from the military. It's designed to keep the supreme leader in charge and a theocratic government in charge, and they're and I worry about them trying to maneuver around the edges right now. It's sort of like the old Abbott and Costello cartoon character where it said, who's on first? I just don't trust them. But once we get verification, and once we get on the ground, and once we get the nuclear enriched uranium out of there, it'll be good to be good to find out how much they've enriched it. Because when you enrich uranium, they were authorized under the JCPOA, the JCPOA, the Iran deal, to enrich uranium at 3.67%. We believe they've got to at least 60%, maybe 80%. You get to 80%, you're a weapons grade. But if you get to 60%, even Grossi, who leads the International Atomic Energy Agency, has said, you get to 60%, you can get about 10 nuclear weapons out of that. And that's what we don't want to happen, because you treat a nuclear power significantly different than you treat a non-nuclear power. There's only 9 nuclear nations. We sure don't want a 10th.
Yeah, well, not this one. It shoots at everything it can reach, including people that are maybe not friends, but certainly neutral to them in the Middle East. The Wall Street Journal editorial board points to the 40 of 47 Democratic senators who earlier this week joined Senator Sanders in voting to block U.S. arms sales to Israel. And here's what it says. For all the Democrats' talk of preserving U.S. alliances from President Trump's recklessness, that never seems to apply to Israel. Instead, they want to punish Israel for working with the U.S. and Iran, which they see through partisan eyes as working with Mr. Trump. The votes to cut off arms in the middle of a war is an ominous turn that will encourage Iran, Hezbollah, and their terrorist allies around the Middle East. Your reaction to that?
Well, you remember back in the day, a few years ago, there was a movie called Dumb and Dumber. I think those senators they can join that movie crew right now, because they're absolutely cowards in what they say, and they're dumb about what they're doing, and they don't read history. And our great partner in the Middle East has been Israel. They're the one nation we've been able to count on. Now the Saudis are out there, the Emiratis are out there, the Omanis are out there. Everybody's out there instead of joining in. NATO isn't, but they are as well, because they understand the risk. They understand the risk in the Middle East. And great credit to President Trump. We finally have a president who is willing to act on that. No other president has been willing to do it, either Republican or Democrat, and I'm sure saying the senators haven't done it either, so give them credit for that.
Real quickly, you brought up NATO, and so did the president in his barrage of Truth Social posts today, making it very clear that, well, unless you just want to come by and fill up your ships with oil, yeah, we don't need you at this point. What's your take?
Yeah. Well, my take is I think we need a new defensive alignment. You know, I think that 32 nations in NATO is unwieldy, so I think we kind of have to go back to the drawing board. You know, it's going to be kind of hard to tell my brother in California that we're going to defend New York City from Albania because Albania got hit or something like that. And I think it's time we do that. In the restrictions in NATO, in the NATO treaty, under Article 13, you can give a year's notice that we're out of it. And we can either say we're out of it or we're going to fix it. Let's fix it. I think we need to reorganize, reset the defensive alignment for Europe as well. But the president's right about that as well. Some of those nations out there have become very strong, like Poland. But some of those nations right now have just negated their responsibilities and authorities under NATO. And it's about time we relook it.
Lieutenant General Kellogg, always great to have you in focus. And now I've got it out of the corner of my eye, $82.29 for crude oil right now. We were above 100 just days ago. Not only did the blockade work, but all that you mentioned today, all that pressure on Iran right now over its uranium enrichment is working too. Great to see you, sir. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.